Hello, you're watching VNA's Bulletin. I'm Bang from Hanoi, and now the headlines. Deputy Prime Minister Phạm Bình Minh calls on nations to respect international law. Consumer Price Index increases by 0.54% in September. Mother Goddess worship in Vietnamese spiritual life. Vietnamese Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Phạm Bình Minh has called on countries to work together to promote multilateralism and adherence to international law for peace, cooperation and sustainable development. Minh made the call at the 71st session of the United Nations General Assembly in New York on September 24th. Minh said, as multilateral cooperation has a growing role to play in international relations, Vietnam believes that multilateralism must be strengthened and the operation of multilateral institutions, particularly the United Nations, must be improved. He stressed that international law remains the linchpin of stable international security architecture and a strong multilateral system. The United Nations can and must play a strong part by taking the lead in promoting adherence to international law and the UN Charter as the foundation for international peace and security. With regard to recent complicated developments in the AC, Minh called upon all parties concerned to exercise self-restraint and solve disputes by peaceful means in accordance with international law, fully respect diplomatic and legal processes, implement the regulation on the conduct of parties in the AC, and expedite the completion of the Code of Conduct in AC. He announced Vietnam's decision to run for a non-permanent seat of the Security Council for the term 2020 to 2021 and continue to increase its participation in the UN peacekeeping operations. On the sidelines of the 71st session of the United Nations General Assembly in New York, Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Phạm Bình Minh met with Argentinian Foreign Minister Susana Mabel Mancora. The two ministers agreed to increase the exchange of delegations at all levels and from different localities and businesses. They also consented to continue negotiations towards the signing of agreements to facilitate bilateral cooperation, especially in the fields of trade, investment, agriculture, customs, finance, banking, science, technology, and animal quarantine. During a reception for Chairman of the Italian Senate Foreign Affairs Committee, Pier Ferdinando Cassini, and Chairman of the Chamber of Deputies Foreign Affairs Committee, Fabrizio Cicito, the two sides were delighted at strong development of bilateral relations since the establishment of the strategic partnership in 2013. Minh spoke highly of the Italian Chamber of Deputies' approval of the Vietnam-European Partnership and Cooperation Agreement in March 2016, creating favorable conditions for trade, economic, and investment ties. The Italian lawmakers voiced their support for the maintenance of peace and stability, as well as freedom, security, and safety of navigation and aviation in the AC, and peaceful settlement of disputes in line with international law. During his visit to Germany from September 22nd to 26th, Deputy Prime Minister Trịnh Đình Dũng had separate working sessions with ministries, agencies and business of the host country to further the Vietnam-Germany strategic partnership. Working with leaders of the Federal Ministry for Environment, Nature Conservation and Nuclear Safety and the Federal Ministry for Economic Cooperation and Development, Deputy Prime Minister Dũng affirmed that Vietnam always attaches importance to its strategic partnership with Germany, which plays an important role in Europe and the world. He noted Germany has for years been Vietnam's leading trade partner in the EU, with bilateral trade value reaching $8.9 billion in 2015. The two countries have set a target of $15 to $20 billion in trade revenues by 2020 and $5 billion worth of German investment in Vietnam. During his working session with Parliamentary State Secretary of the Federal Ministry for Environment, Nature Conservation and Nuclear Safety, Svasoleo Duterte, Deputy Prime Minister Dung suggested Germany assist Vietnam in finalizing institutions and policies, technical standards and norms for environmental protection, as well as capital, technology transfer, and personnel training. The two sides agreed to boost cooperation in wastewater and garbage treatment, land management, and ensuring quality construction projects. At a meeting with representatives of Vietnamese enterprises in Germany, Deputy Prime Minister Dung affirmed that the government would create optimal conditions for overseas Vietnamese businesses. The 17th Conference of Parties to the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora opened in Johannesburg, South Africa on September 24th. Deputy Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development Ha Công Tuấn led a Vietnamese delegation to the event. In his opening speech, South African President Jacob Zuma welcomed delegates from Sept's member nations to the conference, the fourth of its kind hosted by South Africans since Sept took effect in 1975. He called on the international community to debate and put forth measures to effectively protect endangered species of wild fauna and flora in Africa and the world as a whole. For its part, Deputy Minister Ha Công Tuấn said Vietnam has made positive contributions to Sept after 22 years of joining the organization. The Vietnamese government is committed to eliminating illegal wild animal trade networks and is determined to fight crimes related to wild fauna trade. He announced that Vietnam will host the 17th and 18th International Wildlife Trade Conference in Hanoi in November. The Consumer Price Index in September increased 0.54% from the previous month and 3.14% from last December. The figures have been announced by the General Statistics Office. An upturn was seen in 10 out of 11 major goods in service groups, with the biggest increase reported in education at 7.19% as 53 centrally run cities and provinces raised school fees in accordance with the government's decree. Transport services prices followed with a 0.55% increase due to several petrol price hikes. The increase was spotted on the price of telecommunications at 0.07%. According to the office, the CPI of the first 9 months of this year increased 2.07% compared to the same period last year, with an average increase of 0.34% a month. However, many factors could cause pressure on CPI in the remaining months of this year, including the prices of health services, gas and oil, and year-end expenditure. October CPI is forecast to increase due to hikes in health services fees and gas and oil prices, along with hikes in the world's gasoline and oil prices. The worship of Mother Goddesses is largely considered as the unique tradition of Vietnamese people. Being practiced for thousands of years, the ritual still has a vigorous and immortal vitality because it derives from the people's spiritual demand and serves as moral support to generations of local residents. For a long time, Vietnamese people have secularly put trust in Mother Goddesses, seeing them as guardian genii who can help them overcome hardships in their life. Traditionally, people often go to temples worshipping Mother Goddesses on the 1st or 15th day of each lunar month to pray for peacefulness, good health, and good fortune. Most of the deities worshipped under the Mother Goddess worship religion are historical figures, or legendary angels who rendered great service to the nation and people.
I regularly go to temples to pray for good health, fortune and luck, in the hope that my family will be protected throughout the year.
The ritual of Mother Goddess worship was formerly connected to farmers' consciousness in the hope of a large family with many children and bumper crops. Later, it stays in the consciousness of people from all walks of life in their hopes for good things. This value is more and more apparent and being expressed in modern society.
There is a special thing that the worship of mother goddesses does not dwell on guiding people in the world after death, but tends to focus on the current world in which people are living in. And their needs for happiness, wealth and longevity are the highest values. These values are more and more visible in modern life.
People go to temples worshipping mother goddesses to pray for good things in daily life has become a fine tradition of the nation.
I often go to temples on the 1st or 15th day of each lunar month, just as my family's tradition transferred from my grandparents and parents. I go to temples to pray for peacefulness, wealth and good luck for all family members and academic achievements for myself.
Besides the rituals of making offerings and festivals, the Mother Goddess worship combines local music and art forms including Cheuvan, a kind of spiritual ritual combining folk singing, dancing, and Hodong, a sacred yet joyful ritual where the gods are incarnated in mediums to give blessings to followers.
An American scholar considers Lendong or Haodong as a live museum on Vietnamese culture, preserving its historical values. It's really a change in social awareness that is not superstition, but a unique cultural value, so it needs to be preserved, promoted and honoured.
In the bid to conserve and uphold the folklore ritual, in March 2015, Vietnam sent documents to seek UNESCO recognition of this distinctive belief as intangible cultural heritage of humanity.
This ritual is very special. It is a philosophy consisting of a code of conduct between people and other people, people and their ancestors, and people and the natural environment. It is an intangible cultural heritage of Vietnam and deserves to be recognized as an intangible cultural heritage of humanity.
Seeking domestic consensus and international support for the recognition of this belief as intangible cultural heritage of humanity is a concerted effort that responsible individuals and relevant parties have been exerting, with the desire to preserve and develop this indigenous belief. And that has wrapped up our news bulletin. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.